Got traffic there. Blaster, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger, let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down, tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around, that'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out there, follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to this week's Flyer live stream. Ian's gone all 007 this evening. He's off on a top secret mission. He has swapped his t-shirt and baseball cap for black tie, and he's at the Dawn to Dusk Awards in London. But while he's off looking all fancy schmancy, we've got a great show lined up. We're going to be diving into a topic that's kept people talking for years. What exactly is going on at Old Sarum? We have a surprise guest, surprise to us even. This month's free landings for club members and much more. Remember, if you enjoy the content, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. And if you're not a member, or you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, join the club. As Dave, why are you looking confused? As always, it's a massive thank you for Sky Demon for sponsoring us, and here they are with this week's tip.
Hi, I'm Rob from Sky Demon, and here's another top tip.
The radio tab is designed so that in flight, you always have a list of frequencies you can talk to based on your current position and direction of flight. Under frequencies now, you should nearly always see at least one green entry, which is for flight information services. You may also see pink entries for frequency monitoring codes and entries for other airspace you're inside. Under frequencies next, you'll see frequencies for any airspace that you're flying towards or for the next flight information service. You'll also see the frequencies for your takeoff airfield, if you're still close to it, and your landing airfield. Finally, the top of the list is the latest QNH available from a METAR issued by a nearby airfield.
For more information, check out our website www.skydemon.aero.
Cool. I remember fastidiously writing out all the frequencies when I was writing a plug.
Yeah, me too.
I still do that, to be fair.
Now look at it. It's like all the frequencies you can eat. So and the weather, and and it's all there, isn't it? Talking of weather, I know that tonight we have no Simon, do we? And Simon is a recorded Simon, which can only mean one thing. It could be a variable forecast. Should we check it out?
Evening all, hope that you're well this evening. Sorry that I can't join you, but here's your forecast for flying this weekend. Before we get on to it, this was just an interesting chart that I thought I'd show you. This is the 500 millibar chart, so about 18,000 feet in the atmosphere. And this week I started a new course of Aviation Weather Part 2, and we talk about 500 millibar charts there. But I wanted to show you this because what it shows is a high in the heights here across the north and the west of the UK, and a trough which is the U shape kind of on its edge, you can see here, affecting the far southeast corner. And when we see troughs, we generally associate those with showers and some cloud, which of course is what we saw in the southeast today, where we see ridges and highs in the 500 millibar flow. That's where we tend to get the better flying weather. And I just thought that was a great example of the chart showing us those two features today. And as if that weren't enough, can you see how close together the lines are? If you want to amaze your friends, those are geopotential height lines. But the closer together they are, the stronger the winds. This is the jet stream pushed way away from the UK today. So there you go. Just thought I'd show you that to kick off this evening. This is how the forecast shapes up for Friday. Isobars close together. Of course, this is now a surface chart, bringing strong easterly winds on Friday. Notice the cloud ceilings here. Fairly low across much of central and southern England and Wales. So after the fair weather for many today, I think most of England and Wales are going to be seeing lower cloud. Typical bases coming in at about 1,000 to 3,000 feet. Tops are going to be at about 5,000 feet. So not particularly deep cloud, but just enough to produce a few spots of rain. Gusts could be 25 to even 30 knots, particularly across eastern coast. Some rain across southern coast during the course of Friday. Not the best of days. Much better though across Scotland, across Ireland, across northwest England. Here the base is 4,000 feet tops, 7,000 feet, and quite a bit of sunshine to boot. Saturday looks like this. Low pressure down towards the south on Saturday. Again, look at the cloud ceilings. See how much cloud there is. Quite a bit of cloud around across many parts of England and Wales. Base is 1,000 to 3,000 feet again, but much lower than that, particularly where this rain occurs across southern Wales and southwest England. Tops probably by then about 8 to 10,000 feet. Some spots of rain, nothing too much, most of it in the south. Winds still brisk, but probably lighter than on Saturday. Some cloud affecting eastern Scotland, 1 or 2 showers here, but mostly for Scotland and for Ireland and for northwest England. Bases again 4,000 feet, tops at about 7,000 feet. And then on to Sunday, high pressure still actually in control. The low has cleared off down towards the southwest, but I think we're going to be finding some cloud coming through central and eastern areas. Bases about 1,000 to 3,000 feet, tops at about 6,000 feet. It breaks in places, particularly the further west you go. Most cloud is going to be off towards the east. Southern coasts starting to get better cloud bases here and across Scotland, northwest England and Ireland. Typical bases of 3,000 to 4,000 feet, tops at about 8,000 feet. So much better weather in those areas. So all in all, the weekend, well, it's not bad. Just keep a very careful eye on the forecast for that cloud through central and eastern areas. Get yourself booked onto Aviation Weather School Part 1. This is my course which will run on the Tuesday evenings of the 18th and 25th of March. Completely live online, presented by me. I'll show you what you really need to know about the weather. And we're booking now, so go to weatherschool.co.uk to book your place there now. Okay, whatever you're doing, have a great weekend. Wrap up warm. Those winds are going to be making it feel cold. And I'll catch you next week. Bye for now.
Well, looks like Scotland's the place to be on Sunday.
Isn't Scotland always the place to be? Doesn't the sun always shine on Easter?
Apparently so. Yes. Yeah. So yeah. Well, yes. Nice to see Simon, but yeah, better forecast next time, please, Simon.
It's got to improve at some point, and then he can stop running away, can't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So
anyway, let's go into the news. We've got motor news, we've got rubber engines, and we have got a strike.
Oh, well, there we go. Let's kick it off.
So see you next week.
I have no idea what's going on there, but anyway, tonight's top story is about French aerospace company Safran, which has just received certification from EASA for its latest electric motor, Engine US 100, and all of its controls. It's said to develop 125 kilowatts. That's about 168 horsepower, and it has a very light power to weight ratio of 5 kilowatts per kilogram. Now, this is a really big deal. This is a certified engine that can be fitted to a whole host of type certified aircraft and our queue of customers. First up will be Diamond with its electric DA40, the electric version of the DA40 four-seater. That's much used by flying schools. The others in the queue include Aura Aero, we're going to put it in their electric aerobatic aircraft, Volt Aero, we're developing a hybrid, Bi Aerospace in the States, and Electra, which is aiming at the regional market. Now, Safran is already building 4 semi-automated production lines in Niort in France and Pitstone in the UK. And they're aiming to produce upwards of 1,000 engines a year. I mean, they're aiming for world domination in this particular sector. It's an astonishingly big deal. Safran says the engine, they call it the Engine US 100.
I've got a theory there. Are you sure it's not ingenious?
I thought it was Engine Are Us.
I would love a store called Engines Are Us.
Yeah.
Well,
Chris Winch says Engine US is not a good name.
No. I've been puzzling over that for days. Anyway, Safran says it can be easily integrated into all propulsion architectures thanks to its compactness, lightness, and air cooling system. Not surprisingly, perhaps, Bruno Bellinger, the CEO of Safran, called it a key moment in the history of aviation. And it could well just be that. It could be the one that changes everything, and we'll embrace electric aircraft.
interestingly, Mark Sanders says Pitstone design and make motors and generators for aircraft, including A380. So they sound perfectly placed for that.
Yeah,
they do. There is another little engine story which came out in the same week, although it actually happened a while ago. It's about turbine engines burning hydrogen. It's a clean fuel, obviously, just produces water more or less. It's a new idea, but making it a commercial reality is really tough because hydrogen is a Houdini of combustible gases. It's so small it just loves to escape. Now another French company, Turbotech, working in a consortium that includes Safran and the French aircraft maker Elixir, has completed tests using one of its turbines consuming hydrogen in a liquid form. That's a big deal because as a liquid, hydrogen occupies far less volume and therefore is far more useful on an aeroplane. So 2 different ways of going after decarbonisation in aviation. And it's all going to happen in general aviation first.
It is fascinating. It makes me wonder I wonder what the refueling process in the future is going to look like for handling liquid hydrogen.
Yeah, it's
very careful.
Yeah.
There's going to be a whole new industry of people making seals, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And coupling.
Yes. Yeah, and I think a lot of that Zero Avia obviously have got they've been having a whole tranche of funding, haven't they? Partly for their research into handling hydrogen and how that's going to be dispensed in the future. So some of that development is happening here in the UK.
Yeah.
So very good. Me next, and I've got some news of a bit of a metals mix-up at Rotax. So this is the news this week. BRP Rotax issued a mandatory service bulletin for 3 of its 900 series engines, the 912 IS, 915 and 916. It's important to remember that this is all the IS engines. So looking through the service bulletin very quickly, there's 40 pages of affected serial numbers, and by my maths, that's about 2,000 engines potentially affected. And it's quite a big number. And basically, the inspection that you need if you have a potentially affected engine is for your crankcase and gearbox. Because Rotax identified a potential manufacturing issue affecting the hardness value of the material used to make the crankcase and the gearbox. And Rotax said these components may not meet the required specifications for material hardness, and it could lead to reduced component durability and/or oil leakage. So the service bulletin is really comprehensive. I'll put a link in the comments. Interestingly, in an interview with our friends at Flieger magazine, Mark Becker, head of business for BRP Rotax, said that they actually caught this on the engine production line, and that was the trigger for further checks. And they identified the problem, and it's all to do with heat treatment of components after all the IS engines are all black. They have a black coating, and it appears to be after the heat treating, after those items had that coating applied. And already he says that they've, as part of their internal investigation, they've looked at the number of affected engines and ramped up production where appropriate. And apparently they're anticipating having all the spare parts available should replacements be required. So as far as they're planning, they're hoping to not have any significant waiting times for customers. So not good news for Rotax, but it seems like they've got it in hand, and they've got a plan to fix it. So
that's good. Paul Wheel says, "Oh yeah,
sorry, yeah.
Are there not many in the UK?" And I was just thinking in my head what types in the UK that are flying would be fitted with an IS.
Yeah, the 912 IS is pretty prevalent. Is pretty common. We've got at least one aeroplane at Wadswick with one fitted. So I think there's probably quite a lot of 912 ISs around. 915 ISs and 916s. Oh, actually, thinking of it, there's a gyro with a 915 IS at Wadswick as well. So they are out there. But I suspect there's probably more in Europe than there are here. So there's a link in the comments to our news story, and that will take you to the service bulletin if you want to read it. Aviator Steve, do they still come to a jarring stop? That's normal procedure, Aviator Steve. That's just Rotax. But it's how they work. So. Dan Smith, yeah, but don't they work brilliantly? You think you go back 20, 30 years ago and Rotax is like, oh, who are these new upstarts? And now it's the third way, isn't it?
Well, 20 years' time, we'll be saying that about saffron.
Well, yes.
Remember where you were, folks, when you heard it.
When you heard it first. Yes, exactly. Annabelle.
Yes. So booking is now open to fly into Aero Friedrichshafen. This is one of Europe's, if not the world's, best GA shows. This year's show runs from the 9th to 12th of April, and if you want to fly in, you must book your arrival and departure slots online in advance. The booking does include entry to the trade fair for 1 day. Apparently, the new slot booking process is customer-friendly and offers the greatest possible flexibility. If you are interested in going, there are shuttle services from other local airports, or what I've done a couple of times is a road trip, which is it does make an amazing road trip driving out there.
Yes, and I like that. This is the third year where they've been promising. They're going, it's going to be okay, folks.
Now.
yeah. They're like, please.
It works perfectly.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, Mark's already got his sorted. Let us know how it goes, Mark.
He's slot. Yes, that's right.
Okay, and there's a link in the comments. So, Dave. Oh no, Johnny.
Oh yeah, sorry, me. So CAA, yeah, I don't know if you follow them on social media, you've probably seen this week that they've been reminding people, or pilots rather, about the new Manchester low-level route, which, if you don't know, is the route that squeezes you between Liverpool and Manchester. That's going to be renamed. On the 20th of February, it will be the Northwest Transit Corridor with a few changes. So it's going to be reclassified from Class D to Class G. There'll be some new regulations on speed and weight for aircraft flying through it, as well as visibility and QNH settings. And then the corridor itself is going to be raised by 200 feet to 1,500 above mean sea level. And it's going to be widened by just over half a mile along the eastern boundary. Although looking at that, I was just looking at the dimensions, and there's that sort of kink. Surely that'll catch someone out at some point.
I reckon.
I think the airspace beyond the kink is actually a bit higher anyway.
What's the point of the kinky bit?
Good point. Yeah, 2,000 to 3.5.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got the full AIC if you want to go and read it on the news story on fly.co.uk. So yeah, go and download that, and if you're planning on flying up that way, make sure you know what's happening.
I wonder, reading the new name, the Northwest Transit Corridor. Do you think someone in the CAA went, "Ooh, low-level route. That sounds a bit reckless and dangerous. Let's get rid of that name."
Yeah.
Well, I think actually, if you look at a couple of those comments you've highlighted, Ed, Midlife PPL has highlighted a real missed opportunity there.
Oh, I would have loved if it had been called the Northwest Passage.
Absolutely, yes, much better.
Mind you, it can be called whatever we decide to call it, really. So maybe we should start calling it that.
That would be great.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Oh, Steve Baker, give it a miss and speak to Liverpool. They always will. Oh my word!
Stop pressing things.
Oh.
You're broken Johnny now.
My screen just went completely blank.
Yeah.
Dave, over to you, quickly.
Spinning wheel of death.
Yeah, there's a couple of CAA stories out this week. I can't honestly say either of them are good. Today, some CAA union members had a day strike after rejecting a pay offer, and they confirmed a continuous overtime ban. More strike action will follow, they say, unless there's a better offer. And apparently it's been offered 3%, I think it was. We're looking for more. The other news, which is a bit more serious from our point of view, is the Airfield Advisory Team, based at the CAA, set up by Grant Shapps in 2020, will not continue its work after March 2025. We all kind of knew it was going to be disbanded. Now they've officially confirmed it. James Head, the outgoing head of the team, said that during our 4.5 years of operation, we have enjoyed many successes, including enhancing aviation safety, protecting our aerodromes from adverse development, raising awareness of local planning authorities as to the importance of general aviation and the potential to impact upon delicate systems and revenue streams. Mr. Head also said there are many live projects in the system, but they won't be completed by the time the team disbands. We don't know what those projects are, unfortunately, but as we kind of speculated in a news story about this a while ago, this sounds like somebody getting their own back on Grant Shapps, actually, when he set it up.
Yeah, it does sound a bit like that. I feel, going back to the story about CA staff being on strike, I feel like, you know, when you used to see those pictures that had credits on them saying picture posed by models. We should probably say, I think that's our own AI generated image, isn't it?
It is. I can confirm that.
I'm sure Civil Aviation Authority staff can spell the name of their employer. So
let's just make that clear. That is AI, not a real picture.
Not a real picture, not real CAA staff.
All their faces look like they've been smacked by the placard of the person in front of them as well.
It's just all, yeah. I feel reasonably safe from AI until the day that it can do things accurately. So it's like, oh, there's a spelling mistake. You must be AI. You've got 6 fingers. You must be AI.
I do spelling mistakes, but I'm not AI.
Okay. Yeah, no, I make them too. Yeah. Anyway, so there's a last news story, and that's that there's an exciting new event in the fly-in calendar being hosted at Breeton by the Royal Aeroplane Company, the Real Aeroplane Company. It's called Real Stolfest. It's happening on the 17th to the 18th of May. And as a special bonus, we were promoting the live stream today, and we were on Facebook, and Breeton themselves picked it up. And because of that, William Newton from Breeton has popped in to give us a quick rundown of the event. And I'm going to stick him on the screen. Hello, William. How are you?
Hello, guys. Good evening. Hi.
Good. So we asked you, can you give us your 60-second elevator pitch on Real Stolfest?
So my name's William, guys. I'm the event lead for the Real Stolfest happening at Breeton Airfield in Yorkshire. It's hosted by the Real Aeroplane Club, hence the title Real Stolfest. And it's a stall flying festival aimed at stall and bush aircraft in the UK to come, fly in, have fun, have a fun, safe flying, and talk about stall. And the idea came from National Stall in the US, Stall Drag, which are really successful events that everybody wants to go to. So why can't we have one here in the UK? So since advertising, we've got 60 aircraft already booked in. We have a large group flying across from Europe, which is kindly organised by the Stall Collective. And because we're getting so many requests, we're having to go to strict PPR. So if you have a bush stall aircraft or know anybody that has one that might be interested in our event, send us a PPR request on a Gmail, realstallfest@gmail.com. For any other updates, just follow our Instagram, Real Stallfest. We'll keep posting different aircraft on there. But we've got some awesome aircraft. We've got some Carbon Cubs, Zlin Aviation kind of aircraft, Super Stalls, you name it, it's coming. So I don't think there'll be an event in the UK that'll have as many bush tyres as this one. So day passes are available on Eventbrite. You'll find the link on our social media, and they are early bird prices. So, get on there and come join us in May.
Fantastic. Is it obligatory to have really big tyres?
No, but if you have small tyres, you can just put a bit more pressure in them and we'll count them as bush tyres.
I love that idea. Mark Sanders said, I'm already booked in the mall. Fantastic.
Awesome.
And Nigel Hitchman says, Breeton is always a great place to visit. And of course, reminds us now, I think it was announced today, that no landing fees.
Correct.
Amazing.
So, yes, the senior managers of Breeton decided today, let's scrap landing fees. Let's get everybody in. So if anyone wants to fly in, free landing fees, fantastic cafe on site, and some vintage aircraft that are flying around.
Brilliant. Well, William, thanks very much for coming along, and we wish you well. And I'm hopefully maybe one or two of us will make it up to the event as well. But it sounds like it's going to be fantastic.
Lovely. Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers,
Take
William.
care.
Thank you.
We also have something else to thank William for, because stick your hand up if you always thought it was pronounced Breton.
Ah, right. Yes.
Until earlier today, when we met William and he told us he's in fact named after the cheese.
After the cheese.
Yes.
Johnny.
Yes, club news. So if you're not a member, we're doing a Valentine's Day offer at the moment, which is a 25% discount. If you go to flyer.co.uk/membership and put Valentine25 in the code box at the top of the screen, you can get 25% off a full year's membership and a first month's monthly membership. This month, we've got free landing vouchers for Eschot, Deanthorpe, Crosland Moor and Longside. And on the webinar front, we've got Ed Bellamy on the 25th of February talking about piston engine icing, which should be an interesting one. And then, of course, you can catch up on Simon's winter weather tips webinar and Greener's last year, December, forced landing webinar, all via the member dashboard. So if you are a member, head there and you can get access to all of them. If you're not, you could probably be watching them in half an hour when the stream finishes if you go and buy your membership.
Yeah. Fabulous. Good. And yeah, like you say, use that code. Get 25% off. Limited time only.
Gav P.
No offence, but I don't think my wife would appreciate a flyer membership for a Valentine's gift. No, Gav, you tell her that you would like. And actually, what that kind of advice we cannot endorse. So, or just pilots love themselves. So you can always give it. It can be the gift to yourself.
I think we ought to move on now.
Yeah, definitely.
I think poor Dave's going to pass out in a minute, otherwise. So yeah, if you have been around UK aviation for a while, you will know that Old Sarum has had an interesting few years. Once a thriving GA airfield with a rich history, it became a skydiving centre with questions about future operations and development plans. To help make sense of what is going on, we sent Dave off on a mission to see what he could find out.
We're at Old Sarum Airfield. There was once a bustling hub for general aviation, a leading place for pilots to come and train, big microlight club, and a fantastic place, a really good atmosphere for visiting pilots. But in 2019, flying operations largely ceased, and the place has been falling into disrepair. But otherwise, it's been turned into a skydive centre. But it could be so much more. What we aim to uncover with this video is whether Old Sarum has a future as a general aviation airfield for all pilots, or whether it's destined to remain just for skydiving. We'll be speaking with Grenville Hodge, a director of the airfield, about the controversial plan to redevelop parts of this historical site for housing. Before we dive into Old Sarum's future, let's take a moment to explore its rich history. Established in 1917 as a training base for the Royal Flying Corps pilots, Old Sarum boasts 3 Grade II listed hangars and a workshop, structures built during World War I by German prisoners of war. During World War II, it became a permanent base, with additional buildings constructed, many of which still stand today and are used for light industry. The airfield remained under RAF control until 1982, when it was sold to Edgeley Aviation on a 999-year lease. Edgeley developed the Optica observation aircraft here, while the Wiltshire Aerospace Club, later Old Sarum Flying Club, took flight. Fast forward to today, and Matthew Hudson, alongside Grenville Hodge, have taken over the lease, and they're spearheading a redevelopment plan for the airfield. Okay, so I'm here with Grenville Hodge, a director of Old Sarum Airfield. Grenville's had a long involvement with the airfield, more than 40 years, you were saying.
Yep, just about almost exactly 40 years now.
So, first, before we get into talking about the new developments, why did anything have to happen to Old Sarum? Because I remember this airfield back in the early 2000s and right through to mid-2015, 16. I remember coming here, it was busy, there was lots going on, it was a fantastic airfield. Why did it need to change?
In 2007, Salisbury District Council, with an authority at the time, planning authority at the time, came to us and asked if we'd reduce flying. We were doing about 65,000 movements a year at that time, and it was causing nuisance to local residents. And so clearly, if we reduce flying, that's where the income comes from. And so we said, well, if we do reduce flying, we'll need a package really, which would allow us to do it. And so over a period of about 2 years, we came up with a policy which the then Wiltshire Council had taken over, included in their local plan, which was a plan for the airfield, which allowed us to develop some peripheral parts of the airfield to raise some income, to reinvest in the airfield, to be able to run it at a lower volume of traffic. And essentially we came to a conclusion, if we had about 35,000 movements a year, that satisfied the noise requirements. It didn't disturb the neighbours. And so we cut back to about 35,000 movements a year. And so in 2015, 16, that's what we would have been doing. But Wiltshire Council then just stopped us implementing the planning policy.
Right.
And it's been a struggle since to try to make it work.
Yeah. The latest one, can you just outline what you want to do before we go any further?
Yeah, and it is not significantly different to what we originally proposed, because the concept was all agreed really back in 2007. We understand it's a very historic site, and unfortunately it's on the end of in the end of the runway there's an ancient monument, so we knew we had to be very careful with heritage. But we then had to balance the viability of running the airfield at a lower volume and against developing some housing around the airfield. And so the concept is still the same. There's 2 areas where we would place houses on the periphery of the airfield, which don't affect the operation of the airfield at all. And so we put that planning application forward, and it also included very substantial reinvestment in the airfield and improvement of the heritage assets. And so we put it forward. It was refused by Wiltshire, ultimately refused by Wiltshire County Council, and then it went to appeal. Unfortunately, we lost the appeal on heritage grounds. We then changed the operation of the airfield because the way we were running it, it was losing money. And so we changed the operation of the airfield, and essentially the intention was to give licenses to various people to operate the airfield. And the license we introduced back in 2019 was with the then operating parachute operation. And that all got up and running, then the COVID hit. And so, of course, all the other things we wanted to do were put on hold. And so the intention was to license flying clubs. We had another number of flying clubs that would have come and operated on a licensed basis. And then during that time, Historic England wanted to talk to us really about the heritage of the airfield and the condition of the hangar that we've got here. And so we engaged in conversation with Historic England, and with long discussions, we ended up with a proposal for the airfield that Historic England would support. And so essentially it completely took away the reason for refusal that was given at the last appeal.
Yeah. So it's all gone on a bit stage further from there, and you had an application in that last August was turned down again by Wiltshire County Council.
That's absolutely right. So we then put together a very careful application. in principle, it was the same. So one of the housing allocations, which the appeal inspector liked, we kept. The other housing allocation, which the appeal inspector didn't like, we changed in long consultation with Historic England. So Historic England were comfortable with it. And they're the experts on heritage. And also, we committed, and we all had already committed, we committed to rebuild the hangar 3, which is in very poor condition. And we've always recognised the importance of the heritage here. We always wanted to actually sort of focus on heritage. And one of the things we always wanted to do after refurbishing hangar 3 was to make sure that we filled it with historic aircraft. And that's the plan we put forward to the council again. Unfortunately, for some reason, they decided to refuse it again.
Yeah.
So we're now going through an appeal process, which starts next month.
Yes, I've just learnt this morning that it's going to start on the 20th of February.
20th of February. This time we're confident we're not harming the heritage, because we've got Historic England very positively behind us. And so all the other issues are really pretty irrelevant. And so we believe this time we will win the planning application, planning appeal. I mean, if we don't, then we will have to go back to Plan B again, which is what we were going to do in 2019, and have licensed operators at the airfield who will operate day and night. And in the meantime, Wiltshire Council have allowed something like 4,000 houses to be built around the airfield within our air traffic control zone. So all those people will suffer aviation noise.
Right. So if that is what happens, will Hangar 3 be rebuilt?
No. We can't see it. I mean, the Hangar 3, we know now, because we've had a very full costing, will cost £3.3 million to rebuild. But really, the intention is to build really nice facilities here. Yeah. So it becomes a destination airport for people who want to come and visit, have a cup of tea, have a lunch, have a nice time, and then move on to their next airfield.
Yeah. What motivates you now to keep going?
Both of us want to see it through, I guess. You know, we kept the airfield open for 40 years. Back in 2007, it looked like it had a really viable future. And we recognised that if we carried on doing what we were doing, then at some time there would come a crunch when we really would have dispute with neighbours. Because if we carried on increasing flying, it'd be untenable. And so we took a reasonable step and came to an agreement with the local authority.
So either way, it sounds as though general flying for everybody, not just a few people here, the skydive company and so on, sounds like the flying will open up one way or the other.
It'll be different, yeah. One way or the other, it will open up. If we can't do what we would like to do, it will be on a volume business. So what we would look at was flying training, and we're a great place for flying training.
Oh, it is. I've flown here many times in the past myself. I think it's a wonderful place.
And so, and also what you don't do to flying training is lots of facilities at the airfield.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of areas around here where the flying, classrooms and various facilities could be catered for a flying training operation. What they need is a nice airfield and be able to operate day and night.
Yeah. Thank you to Grenville Hodge for talking to us. The future of Old Sarum Airfield will come up before a planning inspector at appeal later this month. Whichever way it goes, it looks as though flying could resume at this wonderful airfield in the near future. Let's hope so.
Okay, let's unmute ourselves. Interesting video, Dave. What was it like to visit and talk to Grenville?
Well, I went in with quite a few misgivings, because there's been a lot of talk about what Grenville and Matthew Hudson, the other director, about things they've done in the past. I kind of wanted to leave that up to one side just to see what was really going to happen. There's a lot of opposition to what they're saying, to what they're proposing. I did actually talk to a campaign called Save Old Sarum, and I see Sarah Champion is in the comments. Actually, she's a member of that campaign. I got a statement from them, which I'm going to read out a little bit of. Save Old Sarum is wholly opposed to the proposed plans at Old Sarum Airfield on the grounds that it would irreversibly change the character, landscape and setting of the airfield, which has its original perimeter and grass landing strip relatively unchanged since the airfield's creation in 1917. And Wiltshire Council apparently states that the proposed development site still forms part of the wider airfield context, and development on this part of the airfield would represent an erosion of the wider conservation area, diminishing the openness of the grassed operational area with consequential harm to the appearance and character. The statement from Save Old Sarum goes on to point out that the airfield management, Granville and Matthew, has said that Old Sarum Airfield would be more profitable if it opened solely as an airfield and the housing application was rejected. And they've also said, if unsuccessful, the airfield would return to a level of flying upwards of 600,000 movements a year. And Save Old Sarum say, we would certainly welcome the reopening of the airfield and the return of aviation. So they appear to want Save Old Sarum appear to want the airfield to return to just being flying. But just to show how hard that is going to be, let's have a look at 2 images of Old Sarum. First of all is an early image. This is it. It's in the film. I guess this is either late 1920s or 1930s, perhaps. But it shows the airfield surrounded by farmland. Let's have a look at a more recent image taken from Google Earth, and this was very recent. And you can see here how the airfield, which is pretty much in the middle, is now got houses built all around it. And in fact, in the top left, you can see there's a housing estate under construction still. If you zoom out a little bit, we can't on here, but if you zoom out on Google Earth, you can see that there is so much housing already around there. So should the Old Sarum, go back to full maximum movements, there's an awful lot of people there that are going to complain. So it's hard to see how this can be resolved, because one way or another, there's either going to be a lot of complaints from local residents, or there's going to be a difficult planning decision to be made. So this Old Sarum's future is still not decided by a long way.
Nigel Hitchman says, still doesn't seem to be a reason why the airfield can't be used by others currently. It doesn't cost them anything to have visiting aircraft.
I think that's partly because, I'm not putting their argument for them, but just having seen the skydive operation working, it is a very good operation. It's very methodical, very fast, very organised. They do take up a lot of space on the airfield. It's hard to see.
I guess, there's places like Hinton in the Hedges that have a very active parachute centre.
They do. And there's other airfields we've seen. I mean, if you remember, the one in France, everyone talks about Gap, the Gap airfield. Everything goes on there, side by side, quite happily, and it's very restricted on the way to fly in and out of Gap. So it can be done. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll wait and see what happens there. So. And so we've got some other airfield news as well, haven't we? Because airfields clearly it's probably no more under threat than they've ever been than right now with the changing government.
I mean, among the airfields, there's a whole load of them, but just to pick a few, there's Wellesbourne, still in limbo as the council processes last October's planning proposals. The locals, people who live in Wellesbourne, they're furious. They want to keep the airfield as it is. Coventry is also in limbo because there's no investor come forward for the proposed gigafactory. Popham, the Popham Matters campaign group, has issued an alternative plan. Interestingly, they did it last month. They've come up with an alternative plan for the airfield rather than what's in Basingstoke's local plan, which is 3,000 houses. Nottingham City Airport, also known as Tollerton, the consultation of whether the airfield gets included in the local plan has now closed. There's still a complete confusion over whether resident aircraft are going to be thrown off this spring. You remember that was a threat that was put out anyway, I won't say by whom, but it was put out late last year. Gloucester Staverton, and it's not particularly under threat, but it's up for sale. We've not heard any progress on that. But finally, there is a bit of good news, and the good news is that Wolverhampton, also known as Hackney Green, has almost completed its resurfacing of its main runway. And as you can see here, it looks very crisp.
That is.
That looks lovely.
That does, yeah. That
Too
must
nice
be the
to land
nicest
on that.
video runway. Yeah.
Good to polish your wheels before you land there, just in case you leave any mud on it.
Yeah.
I bet they won't be,
Yeah, they probably got a doormat.
yes, I bet they won't be letting back that de Havilland venom that you
Yeah.
remember.
The vampire.
Vampires, no vampires allowed.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's why they've done the repairs, isn't it? Because they've done the resurfacing is because the runway in its former state was there was some quite loose sections, I guess. So, but it's great to see money great to see investment in GA airfields because as Pete Cole says in the comments, he said, I was walking on Port Meadow, Oxford this morning, another World War I airfield. It's forgotten. And I'm thinking that we should have more respect for our historic airfields.
Mm. Yeah.
Very good. Cool.
Right.
Okay. Well, I guess that brings us nicely to Fantasy Hangar. So let's have. Very good. So this week, you obviously heard from William all about Real Stolfest. And that got us thinking, if we were to go to Real Stolfest and be competitive, what would we pick for our fantasy choices to take along and be competition entrants? So who's first this month?
Well, according to the list, it's you.
Oh, it's me. I was scrolling down to the list. Okay. Well, it's me. So, So I know that the Breton guys are fans of a Broussard. And the Broussard, as you know, is the French take on the famous Beaver. So I found this completely bonkers turbine conversion of one. It's called the Bush Monster. You're going to love this. It's got a beak like no other. And where has it gone? There we go. Look at that. So this is it's a Broussard, and it's been modified, and they've taken the radial off it because clearly, radial not powerful enough. This is 900 shaft horsepower, and that exhaust that you see poking at the bottom, apparently that the thrust out of that is 100 horsepower. That's equivalent to 100 horsepower. It's the work of a guy called Del Collar, who you might remember. Del and his team were the brains behind the far madder joining of two Yak 55s together to make the Yak 110, which also had a jet engine fitted to it. So the Bush Monster made its first flight last year and is still in testing. But I'm going to put a link in in the comments to a YouTube video about it. Watch it after you finish watching the live stream, clearly. Because I think looking at some of the performance of this, and it's still in testing, I think if I turned up with that, I might stand a good chance of maybe being a winner. You certainly, I feel that's a bit of a mic drop kind of aeroplane. You pitch up in that, and that's making a statement. So,
yeah,
in true Clarkson fashion, power.
Yeah, and they added a whole nother vertical stabilizer.
I know, yeah, because clearly it's this thing is going to have some torque to deal with. Yeah. So I think they figured that that more vertical surface was important.
Right.
So, but the video I'm going to stick up, it's got a whole bunch of the test flying in it as well. It's quite interesting. So
is it?
Just quite.
It's quite interesting. Oh, Nigel Hitzman, give me a standard Broussard rather than that any day. Nigel, it's all about winning a Stol competition, and you need a turbine. Steve Baker says, "Is that the Bushy Beaver?" So, yeah. Right, Johnny.
Right, I've gone for an old late 1930s design from Ryan, and this is the YO51 Dragonfly.
Brilliant!
Look at the state of that thing. So there was a US Army Air Corps were after a liaison on an observation aeroplane, and Ryan came up with this. It was no open cockpit parasol wing, full span leading edge devices, full span Fowler flaps, a 440 horsepower Wasp Junior, and in terms of performance, so getting a sort of 100-foot takeoff distance, clearing a 50-foot obstacle in 500 feet, landing over a 50-foot obstacle in 400 feet. It would stall at 30 miles an hour and cruise at just over 100, but it actually lost out to the Stinson L1. But it's quite an impressive machine.
I feel, quite a lot of these Stoll people, they wear their big tyres as a bit of a statement. You turn up at a competition in that, and you're like, check out my gear stance. It's like no one has a wider stance than that. So, that is quite something. That is a good find, Johnny. Annabelle.
Well, because I'm stunned Ian this evening, I did consider channeling my inner Seeger and going for something like the Convair Pogo, but I didn't. I didn't. I have chosen the Westland Lysander. Powered by the Bristol Mercury Radial, it produces 860 horsepower with a range of around 600 miles, which is plenty to get me to Breton. Although its appearance is little unusual, the slat and flap system was aerodynamically advanced for its time, and the Stoll performance made it kind of the grandparent of modern Stoll. It's the perfect machine for missions behind enemy lines. Not that I'm saying that Breton is any of those things. It also has enormous spats.
They are, you don't. It's hard to get a bigger pair than on the Lysander for sure.
It is an enormous pair. Yes.
Yeah. And that is, I'm not sure that's going to be a winning choice in a Stoll competition, but I'm predicting you might have some fans in the comments. So it's just these days. Dave, have you got a winning choice to pull out of your bag?
Well, I listened to what William had to say a bit earlier, and I decided it's not really a competition. It's a festival. It's a Stoll Fest. It's a party. So I've decided on an aircraft I could take lots of people along to join in the party. So I've gone for a de Havilland Canada Turbo Otter. So it's a turbine version of the Otter, which is normally powered by a radial engine, but this is there's you can either have a choice of a Pratt & Whitney turbine, or there's the Garrett, sometimes called Honeywell turbine. But here we are. This one here appears to be taking off and landing on a strip of mountain no bigger than a dining table. I don't know how they've staged that shot. That's brilliant. Anyway, the Turbo Otter, the Otter, is sometimes called the Bigger Beaver. It's the one-ton truck, as opposed to the Beaver's half-ton. That's how de Havilland described it. So I think this is a great party animal for a Stollfest.
I think, and as turbine conversions go, I think that's actually quite pretty. I really like that.
Yes, yeah.
It's a party beaver, is it, Dave?
Party beaver.
Party beaver. Yes, that's the one.
Have a kazoo. It'll be great.
Right.
Anyway, let's see what's going on in the comments.
Yes. Well, maybe don't. Not sure I can read them.
Yeah, Michael Roberts says, Ed, you've lost this and your reputation. It's not always all about Ed wins. Sometimes I like to surprise you by going, what is he smoking? So Chris Holiday says, Scottish aviation pioneer. They're only found in museums, they're not flying. Chris, it's fancy hangar, it doesn't matter. Tom Watson, who I'm sure is registered to attend this event, says mustache, but I think he's referring to his Cub, which has got a tuned engine and a wacky prop and some big tyres. So yeah, that could be that. What else have we got? Stinson L1 Vigilant. Yeah, that would have been. I think, like Johnny said, that was the winning contender over his Ryan. What else have we got? I'm not sure what looks like a Wilga, but clearly one of them did. Oh, here we go. Annabelle wins. Steve Baker says Fiesler Storch. I picked one in the past. Would have been a good choice.
I
sure.
considered it, but
Yeah. And the Lysander sounds good, says Nigel Hitchman. Unlike Ed's turbine wiener, that's
Wiener.
Wiener. Yes. Yeah. You don't need a turbine wiener. Annabelle wins with the Lysander. Dave's done it again. Otter wins. Party Dave. I wonder how many will stomp on the brakes and have prop strikes. Let's hope not. As I'm sure they're all. This is all about safe and entertaining stall flying. Mr. Trick with an AN2. Annabelle wins. Annabelle wins. Annabelle wins. I think it might be. Chris Winch says PC6. Annabelle wins with her massive pants. Annabelle wins, but would have gone for a storch. Annabelle wins. So Johnny wins. There we go. Clearly, my bush monster did not click with anybody's brain. So storch. Annabelle wins. Thruster, says Michael Ward.
Yes, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Dave wins. John O'Holland. Why not a simple Super Cup?
Have you never met us, Jono?
Yes. Annabelle is broken. Yeah, it happens sometimes. Yeah.
It's usually Ed's
Great.
fault.
Yeah, PC6. Dave, do we have any events?
There's not very many. There's the night fly. We mentioned it before, but there's the night flying at Sleep on the 13th of February, and there's the winter warmer flying at Wickenby on the 22nd of February. That's it for the moment.
I know I'm just waiting for A, the weather to ramp up, and B, for the whole flying event calendar to get moving. So
But
it's gonna.
not before I've got 4 cylinders in my engine, please.
No, we're all rooting for you. So
Thank you.
yes.
Right,
Nigel Hitchman's got a late edition Shuttleworth Engineering Weekend, 22nd, 23rd of Feb. That is really. If you've not been to one of those, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Great.
yeah. Good stuff. Right.
Right, yeah, we need to wrap up because we've got the Dawn to Dusk awards that we all need to go and watch, don't we? So thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's always great to have everybody's support. If you enjoyed the show, remember to like, subscribe, and share the link. Thank you again to Sky Demon for the sponsorship. To Johnny, Dave, not to Ed, because you... Because it's your fault. Because it's your fault again. To the viewers, of course, for watching and taking part. We will be back next week with more, including a very special guest. We have Grant Shapps joining us, so don't miss it. See you later.
That is definitely going to be a one to be here for, I think.
I think it is. Yeah. Right.
Hello, this video is sponsored by us, the Fly Club. And if you're not a member already, we'd love for you to join.
Members get access to all of our content, our free landing fees every month, exclusive webinars, and much, much more.
It costs just £5 per month to become a member, so head on over to flyer.co.uk/membership or click the link in the description below.
It's a proper good deal.
It's a bargain.